Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Dubbed Mr. Fix-It by the Vermont press, Ed Colodny has had a stellar and influential career both in and well outside the bounds of Vermont. Now in his 90s, Colodny has written a memoir that includes his Burlington childhood, Harvard Law School, working at the Pentagon with the Civil Aeronautics Board, and becoming president and CEO of U.S. Airways for 16 years. His stints as interim president of both UVM and then the Medical Center also figure prominently in the book. I am delighted to spend time looking back and looking forward with Ed Colodny, joining me from his home in Florida. Welcome so much, Ed. Ed, hi, good morning.
Morning, Fran. How nice to see you.
Great to see you too. I guess it's afternoon. So you have just published a book about your life called Flying High. What compelled you to write the memoir, and how has the process affected you?
Well, for years I was asked to write a book about my business career. I resisted. Finally, I started thinking about a book as I was going through old papers, trying to clean out files and looking at all my history and saying, you know, I ought to leave some of this for my grandchildren. So I started writing a book. And once I started, I found I was enjoying it and going back over all kinds of things that you have in your life that you've forgotten about, and things that were unimportant and things that were very important. So it was a very, very meaningful experience, and one which I wish everybody would consider. You don't have to be a great writer to do a book. You just have to have patience and give it some time.
Keep at it. So, and it's so valuable both for business people, for families, on many, many different levels. So just briefly describe a favorite memory of Burlington, where you grew up, that was unique to that time.
As a kid, I loved going down to Union Station and seeing the Rutland Railroad come into Burlington with those steam locomotives, and then visit the boats on Lake Champlain, the ferry boats.
Yeah, and here you are with your dad and sister.
I spent my 10th birthday on the Ticonderoga, and I go to the Shelburne Museum now, and I just walk that ship and think, what a treasure that we have that ship on land and can visit it.
Yeah, and that you were on it when it was sailing and on Lake Champlain. So I'm gonna go ahead.
I loved walking down Church Street as a kid. There was something charming and meaningful because you knew a lot of the people, even if you were a kid. You knew who they were, you knew the stores. And growing up in a smaller city like Burlington is a real, real plus.
Well, of course, you graduated from Burlington High School. You might have become a conductor and violinist, but you went on to Harvard Law School and had all kinds of successes through the war, at the Pentagon, and different places. We're going to skip right into your tenure at U.S. Airways, which is a company that grew from $12 million to a $6.5 billion company. And it survived deregulation, mergers, and labor disputes under your tenure. What qualities or values do you attribute this amazing success?
Well, I attribute my success to having been exposed to dealing with the public as a child in my father's grocery store and learning how to communicate with people. I think that the secret for any organization is leadership which communicates. And that means being very visible, being very transparent, being very honest with everybody who makes that organization tick. And the airline is a unique combination of technology and humanity. And I had the good fortune to have grown with the airline as it grew over the years and to take it through the period of deregulation and take advantage of that opportunity to grow the airline. Uh, it's all the people who do the work day in and day out. It isn't the president sitting in an office. It's the person who interfaces with the customer and all of the support team.
Well, clearly you really got that and took that home. It's all about relationships, but it also might be a relationship with Warren Buffett or T. Wilson of Boeing. So your ability to create relationships with everybody from the top down clearly was a leadership style that worked incredibly well for you, because many airlines did not make it through deregulation. And
well, you have to be comfortable with people at all levels.
right.
Whether it's the baggage handler or Warren Buffett, you have to be comfortable, know your limitations, and yet it's just one human dealing with another human and understanding your role and their role.
Well, interesting. After retiring from U.S. Airways at age 65, a lot of people retire and off they go and that's it. You had a 35-year career then, and you were ready to take on new challenges.
Yes.
You became chairman of the board of Comstat, which is a satellite company, and you dealt with a merger with Lockheed Martin. And then Burlington lured you back home. Both
Yes.
the University of Vermont and then subsequently the medical center were in quite deep trouble when you accepted the tricky positions of interim CEO. How do you begin to untangle the complexities of an organization with economic and personnel issues?
Well, the first thing I did when I came to UVM was to meet the people who were here. After all, while the university was having difficulty, it still had thousands of very talented people. My first thought was get to know the people who are there. Don't rattle everybody's cage. And I was fortunate in finding a wonderful person to come in as provost, John Bramley, who worked with me in my year at the university to make changes that were required to stabilize it.
Mm.
But you can't change everything overnight, and you deal with the most critical issues as you can and hope the chips fall in the right way.
Well, you did
And
seem
they
to
did.
steady the ship.
Steady the ship and get people to understand that they have a great institution and restore pride in that institution.
Absolutely. And as I'm sure you're aware, higher education in Vermont continues to face serious challenges. What do you see as the future of higher education in Vermont?
Higher ed has been a major industry in our state, and it's in deep trouble. We've had several institutions already disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Others are in serious trouble. And the bottom line is there are fewer students graduating from high schools in New England, northern New England. The market is shrinking, and the need to compete for students means that the higher ed segment is going to have to redefine itself so it can survive economically. And that means hard choices for boards of trustees, administrators, faculty, and staff, if that's going to accomplish.
Yeah.
There's no easy way out of it.
So, and also, you certainly had a close-up view of the medical industry while running the hospital. You and your wife actually survived COVID-19. What is a major lesson, one major lesson of this challenging time on how our medical system is or should be working?
You know, we all want cheaper medicine, cheaper drugs, lower cost, broader coverage, and we need to cover all of our citizens. But there is no way to provide the level of medical care without paying the price. It doesn't come free.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that we are so hung up on trying to lower costs, we may forget the necessity for research and everything else that comes with providing that kind of care for our citizens.
Yeah. Ed, we only have less than a minute left. Your secret to longevity, is it golf, your long and wonderful marriage, cooking?
Well, it certainly isn't golf, because if it were, I'd be dead a long time ago. It's family, friends, and the luck of the genes that you're born with, and the good fortune to have enough assets to live comfortably without having to live in a grand style on the Riviera. And if you just to accepting the fact that life is ups and downs and look at it positively, you can live longer and enjoy every day, one day at a time.
Great advice. Ed Colodny, thank you for your book. It's wonderful, available online. Thank you for your vitality and your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fran. Great to be with you.
And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.